Welcome to Sonderlings, integrating Troika system. Let the bio ride begin.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Sonderlings. I'm Danny, I'm your host. Joining me are Carly, DB, and Jacob. And
Hi.
We're here to do weird things again. Last time we made it to BarDiddly's and we kind of meandered around there for a little while. Ended up seeing some pretty cool items that were kept by Keek. And he gifted the party a beautiful fanny pack named Ferdinandrew that has a personality. More on that later. Right now, the party, I'm just going to go ahead and say that you that took some time. You've gone back to your ship. You rested there for the night, and it is the next day. Yes, I know that that's a full rest. We're not going to go ahead and test skills right now. We're going to get to that at another point in time. But that does mean that stamina and luck can be refilled, so you can do that while I'm doing narrative things.
Cool.
So, as you're getting your day started, Tiffany actually decides to come and pay you a visit on your barge. She is interested in speaking with the three of you. She has a little bit of a business proposition, if you're inclined to hear her out. Do tons of business early in the week on BarDiddly's, but I was thinking of something that might get folks ready to bet on some races and maybe make you folks a little bit of cash on the side. So I was hoping that since, Zed or Nimbus over here, he used to be pretty popular on the track. People would come from all around to watch him race. And if we were to put him in a race, a little bit of a relay race where the three of you get to compete as a team, maybe we could drum up some interest. And, there's a race that starts in about 15 minutes. So I was hoping you'd be interested in jumping in on that.
I'm always happy to hop into a race, honey. Of course. Sounds like nothing. I could imagine that'd be a little bit more fun since we're here at BarDiddly's than engaging in some of the activities.
Quick cash? That sounds good to me.
Nimbus jumps up and puts his hands on his hips and says, "Where's my horse? Where are my horse socks? What kind of race was I good at?"
Well, you were best at the non-mounted type of race, so we're going to just put the three of you in a foot race, and it's going to be real interesting. See, we've got this new type of race where the three of you are all going to race concurrently. Now, since this is a lower betting race, everybody's going to be able to put in their obstacles before the race even starts, and they're not going to be able to add any obstacles to the course. The three of you are on a track right next to each other, and you're going to go around the track 3 times, and each lap, each one of you is going to have to go past an obstacle. Not all 3 at once. Don't worry about that. People are going to be able to watch the action, so you'll actually be able to see your friends doing real weird stuff while you're trying to get around the track. It's going to be interesting. This is a race against yourself. You're not really racing against any competition. We are asking you to race just to drum up some business for us so we can get the betting tables going. Of course, I'm going to be betting on you, Zed. Nimbus, as you like to be called now. And we're gonna hopefully make out some good money. But, the house always takes its fee, so we'll get what we want. Here's the deal. Y'all stand a good chance to actually win some decent prize money or prizes at the end of this race, as long as you just complete it in good time. You're racing against yourselves, so every success is going to help your time and failures are going to hurt it. And that's just as simple as it is. 3 obstacles, you get past all 3 without a worry. Well, sweetie, you're home free. You get the best prize. And you'll find out what that is at the end of the race. How's it sound?
One question.
Yeah.
Can I bring this? And I hoist up my hammer. And what is your policy on killing your opponents?
Well, sweetie, you're not going to have opponents in the track. It's just going to be you on your own track. And of course you can bring it. You might need to get through some obstacles. And if your choice is to take the time to bash them down instead of jump over them, well, you just do you. Might not work the best, but who knows?
I was just going to say the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. And I grin mischievously.
While Tiffany and Veighor are talking, Nimbus is going through a series of very elaborate stretches, some of which look extremely painful, including the look on his face makes it look like he's not enjoying them either. But when Veighor poses his question, he starts like this little song, like, I said no fighting, I said no fighting. And, like he's kind of minding his own business, but
Very nice.
So-
well, Quith is recapping her jar of, I don't know what you would call it besides nasty water at this point, that she had previously been using to, keep herself and the toad hydrated before Tiffany arrived. She's recapping that, testing it to make sure it's not leaking at all. And as she's sliding it back into her bag, she says, well, on the note of what my friend Veighor just mentioned, are there any restrictions we should know about while doing this race? Is there anything that would get us in any sort of trouble or disqualify us? Anything like that we should be aware of? Not all of us have had the pleasure of being here before. And I kind of give a little nudge to old Nimbus.
So on that note, sweetie,
Nimbus
like I
immediately
said,
drops and starts crab walking all around the deck. Go ahead.
appropriate. Like I said, it's just the three of you out on the track, and you're not racing against anyone else. So the only people you'd stand to hurt are each other. And I'd assume that you're not going to, cause a fuss if you accidentally hurt each other. So and there's plenty of space between you, as well as walls. Like, you're on your own closed track. You'll be able to see each other, just not get to or help. So basically,
So what I'm hearing is that magic is permitted, correct?
yeah, it's kind
With
of
a
a
little glint in my
no-holds-barred
eye.
thing. Like, do what you're going to do. Have fun. Make sure that you don't blow the whole place up, but I doubt you could. I built it myself, and it's pretty sturdy.
Well, let's hop to it then. And I sling my bag over my shoulder now that I've refitted it with the last of my important belongings that I'd pulled out during the night, and stand to my feet, ready to head out if necessary.
And with that, we're going to head over to the track.
Okay.
So, essentially the rules are as follows. Each one of you, I've already pre-rolled out a bunch of stuff, so we can kind of keep the narrative pace moving. Each one of you is going to have 3 challenges. I know the order that you're going in, and I know what all the challenges are. I know what the benefits are, what the cons are. Some of them are going to be simple. It's just, this is in your way, get past it. Some of them are going to be maybe a possible benefit if you can actually claim the thing fast enough without slowing yourself down. Some of them are maybe benefit, maybe slowing you down. It kind of depends on what you do with the thing. And it's up to me to put you in a situation where you might have to guess about all of them. So, round 1. Well, we're not going to do round 1 yet. What we're going to do, I'm going to take a second and actually paint a narrative picture for once in my GM career.
Oh, you're doing fine.
So the 3 of you follow Tiffany, and you go, if you've ever been like inside of a race car track, like a NASCAR track, you go under the track and then come out of a tunnel in the infield. And so you're going under a tunnel and you're coming out in the infield. And that's where everybody warms up for these races. The track is curved much like a NASCAR track. It's actually vertical on the walls around the interior of BarDiddly's. There are different levels of seating in BarDiddly's. The worst seats in the house are just above the track, so that you basically only have a straight shot across. You can only really see the track that's across from you. The best shots in the house are dead center, below and above, and everything has its own artificial gravity, So basically, you're hanging upside down, and you can kind of bubble style look all around and see the track.
Fun.
And so
That's awesome.
that's where the high rollers are going to be. Those pods that are hanging there and like above and below, they're not super occupied right now. It looks like Tiffany assumed that Nimbus was going to be a part of this race, so there are a few people. He seems to have his own following. Most of the cheapest seats are full because, like I said earlier in the week, that's when a lot of the lower class people come out to visit. The whole place actually looks decently full. You can see big scoreboards around. Once the race begins, you assume they're going to keep track of your scores, but at the moment they're showing the betting numbers, and it looks like everybody is betting on Nimbus to do a pretty good job with this race. He seems to be the crowd favorite. The two of you are drumming up a little bit of business since you're here with him. And you're kind of walking into the infield, and you just start hearing applause, and people just are chanting, Zed, 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 and they're getting real amped.
I am side-eyeing Nimbus so aggressively right now, and as soon as we hear this chant begin, I do a real shoulder / elbow bump to Nimbus, and I go, well, I hope you brought your racing socks after this much of a following came out to see you. I had no idea you were so renowned. My goodness, buddy. And I glance down just to check out and see what his socks currently.
Nimbus is he grins at you, but you can tell that like the loud noise, he kind of half understands what you say, because he also has his both fists in the air and is chanting Zed, 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 and looking around.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I run.
Or who
I
they're
run
all
up,
talking about.
I run up behind him and like throw my head and shoulders under his legs and like hoist him up onto my shoulders and begin chanting Zed, Zed, Zed.
The crowd explodes when you do that. Everybody loves it. They're freaking out. I want both you and Nimbus to add +1 temporary luck to your luck pool, because you are getting super, super inspired by this crowd. I don't know if that's a mechanic I'm allowed to use, and I don't care. I'm
Temporary
the
+1 to
games
skill. That
master.
works. You can do that.
Well,
Yeah.
to luck.
To luck. Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Temporary +1 to luck. So you hear a pleasant voice come over the intercom announcing that the race will begin momentarily, and if the participants would like to take their places. And you can see there's a little gate not far from you that lets you sort of walk up this track onto the actual racetrack. There are multiple lanes, only 3 of which are lit up right now. They're separated by what appear to be sort of warbling magical force barriers that are pretty transparent. It gives you that like almost energy shield type look when you look through it, but you can see everything. The colors might be a little bit off. And there are 3 tracks that are labeled with your names. And they've got these big green X's lit up on the ground that are your starting positions.
So Zed or Nimbus sees Zed, he sees Quith, and he sees Veighor, and then he sees Zed, and he sees the X, and he kind of goes blank for a second, and he's looking around, and he's looking at the crowd, and he's listening to the crowd, and then he just gets like a real grim, determined look on his face, pulls his shirt and his socks off, and folds them up and puts them over in the corner, and then rolls his pant legs up like above his knees.
Wow.
Very nice.
All right.
I'm supposing this isn't actually your first time at the rodeo. So
It's getting
I
real.
guess that makes sense. Yeah. Well, so noting that my companion, who normally is not nearly this prepared and ready to take place in a race right off the bat, normally waits for us to take the lead, and seeing the crowd following, I'm assuming he has somehow gathered. I go ahead and with my head a little bit down, trying to keep him in the spotlight. It seems to be warming his heart a bit. I go and grab one of the other lanes and get in position.
I
Get my
stopped
label
by
in hand,
I stopped by Nimbus's lane and I kind of lean in Like, I cheered your name, my boy. For when I crush you, it shall be ever greater. And then I get to my lane.
Brilliant. You hear a countdown begin. It starts at 10, 9, 8, keeps going, and the voice is getting more and more distorted as it counts down. And last thing you hear is 1. And big old buzzer sounds, and you're off. You are allowed to do whatever you want to do at this point.
All right.
Sprinting at full speed.
Yeah, I am also running. You do notice a trail of muck and mud left behind me.
I'm gonna say Nimbus starts forward and then bucks back, like after 2 or 3 steps, just briefly jumps back and then keeps going.
Okay. Sweet. So, this track is pretty curved. It looks like you're constantly kind of running up, like at the bottom of a bowl is basically what it looks like. You're not running uphill per se, but you can always see the horizon is pretty aggressively curved up in front of you. So you'd have to kind of look up to see what's really there. As you're running, the 3 of you see what appear to be walls heading towards you. Veighor, yours is the closest, and it is just a brick wall. It covers from the ground all the way to the top of the track, all the way to the sides of the track. It looks like traditional bricks. They're not like what we would see as like the red clay bricks. They're not super thick. It's not like cinder blocks or any of that. It's just a brick wall in front of you.
All right. Well, as I'm running toward it, can I slip my hammer out from its sheath, my giant maul, and then kind of get that run charging wind up to smash into it?
Let's go ahead and test it. Use your maul fighting and see if you can do your thing. And you are going for a roll under.
Right. So maul fight. Nope, I got a 7 and no, 6 plus skill would be 9. Yeah. So I got it. I rolled a 7 for a 9.
Brilliant. I have color-coded Sharpies for all of this to keep track of your successes or failures, because I'm a nerd. Veighor, you have passed your first test. The wall shatters in front of you, and it is just merely brick. You did it. Things are done, and you've made it through, and you can continue sprinting. And as you do, you see that Nimbus's wall is quickly approaching him. And Nimbus, your wall appears to go up. It's all the way to the edges, and it goes up 3/4 of the way to the ceiling over your track. And your wall is made up of what looks to be just a bunch of forearms and hands. So
Nice.
It's just a wall covered in basically like arms sticking out, and the hands are doing things. And they seem to be kind of writhing. And I would like you to tell me how you're going to handle this challenge.
Okay. Okay, so real quick, you said 3/4 of the track. How tall is the track? Like, what is full
Size.
Okay, let's say that it is 12 feet. So you're talking about 9 feet.
Okay. Okay.
Yet again, we've got
So-
about 3 meters.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I think I'm going to try to completely avoid. So you said arms and forearms,
Mhm.
or just hands. So it's like from the elbow.
Yeah, it's from the elbow out. And they're sticking
Okay,
out, moving around.
Okay, so I'm gonna try jumping, and I'm gonna try to keep my body and legs from touching. But I'm gonna try to grab 2 of the top forearms at the top of the wall,
Mhm.
and then sling myself over.
Okay, so what are you going to test?
I've got climb. So I was
Okay.
thinking, I mean, it's not that much of a jump. So
Test climb.
okay, I've got an 8. I rolled a 6.
Heck yes. All right. You have successfully traversed the wall. You lunge towards the wall, arms outstretched, grasping some of the top arms as you kind of twist yourself in the air, and almost like a pole vaulter when they're getting that last little bit of push off of the pole. You grab these arms and use them to twist yourself up over the wall. Perfect tuck and roll into your land, and you're off sprinting forward. And as you are, you notice that Quith's wall is quickly coming towards her, and your wall is
It's just butts.
side to side. It's just butts. Your wall is.
It was hands, it's all butts now. Sorry.
Just imagine the
Side to
wall is
side.
just a big pole that has like 50 volunteers with their arms through. They can't see, so it's just butts and turns faces.
Okay, so your wall is full side to side, full bottom to top, covers everything in front of you, and it is just a wall of fire.
Okay.
It doesn't appear
I
to
got
be
the arm.
super thick, but it's there.
All right,
So,
and
how are you gonna tackle
does it
this?
seem to be actually a solid wall, or does it just see
It is
flames? Like,
literally a wall of fire. It doesn't appear to be solid. You could go
Okay.
through it. You'd assume that it would be like running through fire, so you're probably going to take some damage. But
All
you
right.
can solve this
So-
problem however you want.
I stop dead in my track, which I'm sure is abnormal for a typical racer. However, Quith is not used to racing and does think immediately of her moist toad upon her head and how dangerous those flames would be.
Mhm.
Furthermore, little old me doesn't have very much besides drowning and swimming, so getting through fire is not super simple without just going head first through it. So I go ahead and I stop, take Pith from my head, my tiny frog companion, and I tuck him into my backpack so he gets a little bit more cover.
You
so he doesn't
don't
get soaked in.
have to stop for this. This thing is a ways.
Oh
in
no,
front of you.
I understand. I still stop.
Oh, okay.
My character is actively confused by the fact that she is at a race. She also
Okay.
wants her friend Nimbus to win, given the active following that he seemingly has
Well, you're
brought
all
here.
trying to win
And
as
more
a
importantly, I know, but it's still more importantly, I don't want my frog to get damaged. So I stop. And with a look of confusion, I pull my frog from my hat, tuck it into my bag, and go, "Hey, go, buddy, stay nice and cool in there." And I hike my backpack back up, and then continue running straight through the fire.
team. Okay.
I will take damage.
I rolled a 1
Wow.
on damage.
Whew,
As
that's not too bad.
firebolt, that could have gone
Ooh.
up to 12 damage, by the way. So you got the best result.
Okay.
But unfortunately, you still failed because you did stop. You bolt through this wall of fire, coming through remarkably unscathed, as it's a wall of fire. Probably, honestly, less to do with the speed at which you're running and more to do with the fact that you are consistently very moist. And so the fire didn't even have time to catch on to anything.
You gotta take time to wet yourself.
You're just
And-
steaming coming out the other side.
Right, just
Crowd goes
steaming.
wild.
And as you run through the wall of fire, you notice that the next obstacle is almost upon Veighor. Veighor, standing in the track in front of you, slightly to the left of where you need to go, is a pig. What do you do?
Racing
And
snack.
Let me
It's
make this
still a race.
abundantly clear. The pig is not obstructing your path. It's just standing there. So you could run around it if you wanted to. You can also stop and deal with it.
I feel like that was the DM's way of saying, "Please
How-
don't hit this pig with your hammer."
How big is this pig? Is it
It is-
large?
Appropriately pig-sized. As in, like, think, I don't know. How do you compare the size of a pig?
So really, the only thing that's going on in my head is the pig here that is it rideable? Is it of riding size?
Not for you.
Nice.
Okay.
I was because they can book it now.
They can.
Pigs
Okay.
can move
They can-
fast. It
Yeah.
would not be big
Yeah.
enough for you to ride it.
And then we can make a
Okay.
run little piggy joke from Hannah. But go ahead.
All right. Well, if I can't ride it, then I'll run past it.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say that. I'm going to kill it.
Then I'll
Veighor
just eat
continues
it.
past.
Chomp.
Veighor continues past. Nimbus. As Veighor blows past this pig, it gives a little bit of a squeal, shakes its booty, and runs in the opposite direction. You see in front of you, there is a small, like Grecian-style pillar pedestal thing, and atop it, it's like they knew you were coming. There is a bapple pie.
Oh.
What do you do?
Hmm.
And
How
it is
tall is this
also
pillar?
to the left. It is not impeding your progress at all. It's just there.
Tempting you.
Mm-hmm.
How tall is this pillar?
As you run past, the bapple pie would be at about shoulder height.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Man, I mean, Nimbus is like in the zone, but I really don't think that he could resist that.
Why don't you test luck to see how in the zone Nimbus is?
I like
Okay.
that.
And if
How tempting is the pie?
if you succeed on your test, Nimbus will be in the zone.
Okay. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no.
What did you roll?
I rolled an 11.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm not in the zone. I'm
Even
getting
with
that
your
pie.
extra point, you're not in the zone. You're stopping to get
Correct.
pie.
Correct.
Okay, so
They
here's what's going to happen.
Admittedly, they do make the best apple pie here. This isn't just any apple pie. Admittedly, it is the best in the system.
Oh, this is
Now, I will-
BarDiddly's apple pie. This is fantastic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I
Yeah.
will say that I would be grabbing it off the pillar and like eating it while I ran or something, or like grabbing some bites and then throwing the rest away or something. I would definitely not stop.
I do
Okay.
love the idea of you being like, this must have been placed here as a mid-run snack. Why else would it be showing up?
So-
Actually, I tell you what, he's still wearing his pants. So he would definitely want to break this thing in half and put one half in each pocket.
So if you're
It's a big pie.
if you're doing this narratively, I need you to test skill to be able to run while doing this. I won't
Okay.
give you a flat out answer on whether you've succeeded or failed, but I need you to give me a skill test because you're giving me
Okay.
a good reason why you might not fail.
Hey, Danny, I've got a
I rolled
question.
it.
You matched
Okay.
it? Yeah,
Yeah,
you passed.
good.
You have to
Nice.
go at or under it.
Yes.
And
All
tickets.
right, so we'll give you that thing there. What's your question?
Fast
Veighor?
food.
As like, I run past the pig,
Mhm.
and as he stops to get the pie, can we hear the crowd? Like as I pass the pig, do they like jeer or boo?
You actually
Or
can't hear the
is
crowd at
there
all
like a
while you're
gasp?
running. You're
No?
in
Okay.
you're in enclosed tracks.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And you can't even see the crowd, remember, because you're running basically on the wall. So you'd have to do this to be able to really even see anyone. And so you didn't stop to get the pie. You just snatched it, broke it, tucked it in pockets. Okay. Quith. As that happens, you see in front of you, there is what appears to be just a rough-hewn wooden bowl on the ground to the left of the path. And you can already see from here that it is the thickest, most gloopy, just viscous mud that you've ever encountered in the entirety of your existence. It is disgusting. You can't tell where it came from, but you want to wallow in it. What do you do?
I feel like I should probably test luck. Just because it's a temptation, Like, part of me wants to say that I just run past it because in my head I think I could probably find this from Tiffany later. But at the same time, I did just run through fire, so I'm drier than usual, and that
I know.
displeases me. So I'm
Got
gonna
him
roll.
nice.
I'm gonna test luck.
Okay.
All right, and I got a 7. My luck is an 11.
Oh, yeah. You just blast past this muck with a little bit of heartbreak, obviously. But you,
Yeah.
you just
I feel
keep
like-
on trucking.
I take a mental note. Must stop and talk to that Tiffany lady later because I bet that she's got the intel on where that muck came from and how one could make it again.
Yes.
But I keep right on running.
You keep
I sigh
right on
heavily.
I
running.
don't give a muck about that.
So, as you blow past this bowl of muck, Veighor, in front of you, to the right of the path, you see that it forks a little bit. It's almost like your path splits into two. The one directly in front of you is clear and there's nothing. The fork to the right looks a little bit slimmer, but you can see that there is a small outcropping with some sort of object on it. What do you do?
So the one to the right has it's a dead end, but I can see at the dead end that there's like an object.
No, it's not a dead
No?
end. It's literally just like a little loop off of the path. So if you were to run it right, you
mhm.
wouldn't lose any time.
Okay. Now, one of the things that Veighor always keeps in mind
Mm-hmm.
is this wide enough to still swing a hammer? Because if it's too narrow, I'm sorry, but he can't go down it. But if
Both
I could still
paths-
swing it,
Both
Yeah.
paths are narrow enough that you wouldn't be able to do a side shoulder swing, but you could still do an overhead swing.
then yeah, let's go take a peek. I feel like I
Okay.
don't want that pig to get the better of me. So,
Right.
fool me once type thing.
So
So yeah, I go charging down this.
absolutely. So as you go charging down it, you notice that there are some holes in the ground that just look like voids. And it appears to be a little bit of a hopscotch situation. So I need you to test skill for me to see if you're able to skillfully maneuver this.
Yeah, I definitely don't have any skill for that. I got an 8. My skill is a 6. So I
Okay.
failed.
So you
Listen,
failed.
not every Chaos champion can execute a nimble hopscotch maneuver with a maul as large as yours. No?
Right. So you
Sure.
failed on maneuvering it so you are losing time. So what that means is you're just not doing it fast enough to keep up with the pace that you need to be at. But
You lost
do
part
have a
of one of
chance
your
to
legs.
grab what is on this
Okay.
little outcropping. And what is on this little outcropping is just a hammer. A small hammer.
I hoist it up and I look around trying to present it to the crowd. I can't see,
Okay.
but I imagine they can see me obviously, and
Cool.
I'm shouting, yeah! And then
I
I
assume
continue
you're trying to
racing.
keep running full tilt as you do this.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm showing the crowd. Obviously, I'm like a people pleaser clearly. So
Do me a favor, test your luck to see if you're able to just swipe this hammer. It appears to be sort of like in a like chiseled out area, so it's not just sitting atop this pedestal. You'd have to like scoop in to grab it, which is why you're testing luck.
all right, I got a 6 and my luck is currently a 9, so I'm good to
Okay.
go.
You were able to grab the hammer, and as you do, you see that Nimbus's next challenge awaits. Nimbus, exact same situation, exact same layout. Path
I'm
left and right.
definitely going to take the road less traveled by. I feel like that'll make all the
Okay.
difference.
Test your skill to see if you can get through it flawlessly and attempt
Okay.
to grab the pair of what appear to be gauntlets on the outcropping.
Noise. Is it run? I just test run.
For you, yeah, you'll be able to test run.
Wicked. Yes. Yeah. 5 out of 8. I got it.
Heck yes. Nimbus gives us a success and is able to snatch this nice, finely crafted pair of gauntlets And as you emerge victorious, heading towards the finish line, Quith. Same exact situation.
Okay, so yeah, then I will try to take the path less traveled.
Okay. Test skill for me.
See if I can manage it. I do not have anything like run or maneuver, so I'm assuming I'm just base testing.
Just a base skill test. We're going to see what happens.
I passed. I got a 3. My skill's 5.
Heck
Nice.
yes.
I don't know how I rolled that, but 10 out of 10, so.
As you're running down this path, you were able to scoop up a tome. It is a book.
Okay.
And
cool.
you are able to scoop it real quick and just book it towards your finish line. And all three of you... Yeah, I know. All three of you are able to cross your finish lines. You get there, and as you do, you kind of exit this enclosed portion of track. And it's one of those, like, it's like somebody's slowly turning up the volume as you get closer to the finish line, because you can hear more and more of the crowd. And everybody is freaking out. Every one of you failed once except for Nimbus. So that's in keeping with the lore of the world that we've created. Nimbus wins.
Mhm.
And
Well, I basically cheated, but that's okay.
you kind of cheated, but that's fine.
You
So
shove that pie in your pockets, you know.
you did shove that pie in your pocket.
Which I'm offering, by the way. I am definitely. Are we done? Like we're across
You're
the
at the finish
line.
line. Tiffany's there. She's doing her whole, y'all, wasn't that a great race? Aren't we so glad that we got to watch Zed race again? Like, she's talking to the crowd, hyping them up, getting everybody happy. People are going to collect their bets. She is raking in money because, of course, you have to pay a fee to place a bet, blah, blah, blah. And everybody bet on you, Nimbus, except for a few people that didn't, and they lost money. But the people that bet on you are winning money, so they're all happy. And so you're all just kind of loitering around the finish line.
So I'm looking at the tomb. I'm flipping it back and forth that I pulled out of that last one while
Yeah.
starting to catch my breath a little bit. And I wanna. What does it look like? Is it just like a normal book? You said it was kind of like an old tomb of some sort.
Yeah, it looks
right?
like an old
What is it?
tome. It is, I don't know what it's named. That's what your book titles are for, so you get to pick what the book title is.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
so
cool.
you get to pick which book this is, and you can be
Okay.
as selfish or as funny as you want with this. Like, if you have a book title that is, for those listening at home, Carly has a long list of ridiculous book titles that I asked her to get ready for this session. So she gets to pick which one is going.
And I would
So,
go ahead.
no, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say while you're looking through the list, like you feel a little tugging, and Nimbus is tucking pieces of his apple pie into your backpack, feeding him to your toad.
Okay, very nice.
Fantastic.
He's slurping them. So the book that I have grabbed is called "What to Expect When You're Expecting Death."
Nice.
Fantastic. I love it. So you have What to Expect When You're Expecting Death.
Mhm.
And as you're leafing through it, you notice that pressed between the cover of the book and like the back cover and the last page is a folded piece of paper.
Huh. Does it look like
Yeah.
a note of some sort, mayhaps?
It looks like a folded piece of paper. Maybe you'll learn what it is if you were to unfurl it.
All right. So I move away from the crowd as everyone's kind of, as the group is congratulating
And
Nimbus
this
on
is
his
this is all kind of happening as you're all being shepherded back through the tunnel towards a more private area where you can
Yeah.
talk about the winnings of the race.
I tail behind the team just a little bit, so I have a little
Okay.
bit of privacy while they're chit-chatting with Tiffany. And I put slide the book back in as I unfurl the note with my hands. Also grabbing pith to return to my hat in the process.
Fantastic. So if you follow me on Instagram, I posted part of this yesterday, which is, we're recording it on Saturday. So you'll listen to this forever from now. But I posted part of this on my Instagram. So it is just a big old piece of paper with a black dot in the center. And down here is scrawled, "Psst, this thing is weird and dangerous. Just get rid of it. Jay." And
Okay.
this is an unassuming sheet of thick paper with a black spot drawn in the center. Upon closer examination, it may seem to the holder that the spot is not merely black, but nothing. Who knows what this is for, but the bottom corner bears the scrawl. Psst, this thing is weird and dangerous, just get rid of it. J. So it looks like there's just a void in the center of this page.
I tried to poke my finger,
It goes in.
and I pull my finger back out. Does it look injured?
It's completely
Gone.
unscathed.
There's no weird black.
As
goo
much
on
as
my
I know
finger
you
and
want there to be some sort of slime or finger on your finger, there isn't.
can't blame a girl for trying. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Right.
Okay.
Once a swamp
Never
girl,
mind.
always a swamp girl.
I think to myself, what a strange piece of paper, as I refold it and put it back.
Fantastic. So you're heading towards where you're going to get to collect your prizes. Tiffany kind of throws her arm around, because Quith, you're dragging along at the back. So Tiffany throws one arm around Nimbus and one arm around Veighor, grabs you both in. Well, didn't all y'all just surprise and delight? I am so excited. So we're headed towards the prize room where you get to claim your winnings. So first and foremost, those of you who finished with a perfect score, you're going to get a favor from me. Can't be too big, but you've got a favor. Name it. We'll figure it out. We might have to negotiate a little bit. So that means you, Nimbus. Look at me. I'm getting better at remembering your new name. And we got a ranking system for everybody who finished. So when you finish this race, you have a potential to have 3 points. And those points at the end of the race can be spent on doodads from this here pile. And she knocks the door to a room open, and there is just a giant pile of ridiculously weird artifacts in this room.
Nice.
And so the number of points that you ended with equates to the number of weird artifacts that you can claim from this pile. Nimbus, you had 3 points. Quith, you had 2. Veighor, you had 2. So that means...
So
Word.
upon seeing this pile, I immediately exclaim, "Oh my heart! Baubles and artifacts! I've never seen a pile so lovely. Team, get over here! Check these things out!" And I start to pick things up and kind of look at them in the light, get a little closer to glance at
Absolutely.
everything.
And as you're looking at that, Tiffany turns. She's like, "Oh, Quith, you already found your book. That's fantastic. I hope you enjoy that." And Veighor, you know what that there hammer is?
It is a wonderful, wonderful gift.
I mean, do you know what it is?
It's a hammer, yes, of course.
Yeah, that's... I mean, it's not a normal hammer. That's the hammer of undo.
Oh! You see that I hold it between 2 fingers out in front of me. This is not a hammer. This is the hammer.
Yeah,
I have
that's
to be
the
careful
hammer.
with this one.
So for those of you listening at home, this is an item that the Sonderlings have created. I'm like 98% certain that was you, right, DB? Yes, I thought so. So this is the text that he wrote for it, and I'm going to read it. To the untrained observer, this plain wooden mallet would go overlooked in any repair shop. However, to the artist, mechanic, or maker, this hammer is an item of great importance, for it has the remarkable ability to render anything into its most basic components with just a single tap. First built by an infamous trickster, H.B. Undo, the hammer was initially gifted to his friend as a token of appreciation. Later, when the friend went to use the hammer to finish the last bits of an exhaustive project, he discovered, to his utmost dismay, that his creation fell apart. The screws wound back and out of place. While the glue failed to stick, the belts came loose and the stitching came undone. Ever since, this hammer has been passed, one way or another, to the next unsuspecting workman. The hammer cannot be damaged or destroyed, much to the chagrin of its frustrated victim. And it is the sole reason why every experienced craftsman always places a notch in their tool so it cannot be mistook for the despised hammer of undo.
Nice. I love that last detail. That's money.
Yeah. So
Can
that's what
can
you
Nimbus can Nimbus hold out like the other half of the apple pie, and he's like wide-eyed, looking at the pie, looking at the hammer, and looking at you, Veighor. He's just like, do it.
Yeah. I grab it firmly in my hand, strike it up, and smash it down. And as it hits the pie, you can see that it splatters, and as it splatters, the like gelatin filling separates from the berries that fall dry next to it. So you've basically got dry crust bits,
like just
dry
puffs
berries,
of flour and
gelatin
sugar. Absolutely.
So as it falls farther away from me, yeah, it disintegrates back into. You see, there's like a little pile of butter, and there's like some flour strewn about.
Well, that's
And you
just
see
fantastic.
Veighor beaming.
I from Veighor to Nimbus, who I feel like may have a small tear in his eye, since part of his apple pie just got destroyed. And I go, "Oh, Veighor, what did we tell you about causing chaos for us? That is unacceptable, honey. You know how hard this boy worked for that pie, how soiled his pockets are."
He still has half of a pie, and I still have this whole hammer. I rip off a piece of ragged cloth, and I gently wrap it around the hammer, and then I store it away in a sack at my belt. Best it not touch anything in this room, or else your gifts will be nothing but a pile of pieces.
So Nimbus watched this happen, and as everything spread out, his eyes went really wide, and then this scream starts from sort of in his chest, and slowly you almost can't hear it at first, and then it just gains, and then I'm not gonna do it on mic because that'd be horrible.
Please
but once it is almost to its peak, it just cuts off, and he goes, "Ooh," and starts throwing the pieces of fairly fresh apple that are scattered around, throwing them in his mouth.
Nice. It's salvageable.
Well,
he's also wearing. I was just gonna say
What?
he's also got the gauntlets on his feet.
Nice.
Nimbus, honey, that's not how you wear those. Those go on your hands. They're not socks, sweetie. Sweetie, those
And he
go
goes,
on
"Yeah,
your
but-"
hands.
He goes, "Yeah, but watch," and he jumps and claps them together.
Sweetie, no, those go on your hands.
And then just
those are wormits.
self-satisfied
sweetie.
grin and pops another
Sweetie.
piece of apple.
Sweetie, those are wormits.
And he
they're
jumps
supposed to go on your hands.
Jumps out of him and then looks inside of him.
Yeah, put your hands in there. They help you catch deep sea hatchet worms. They're real great. Mechanically, basically, that if you're wearing them, they'll give you +2 to unarmed while you wear them.
Fun.
Okay, so I put them on.
Okay.
And I'm enamored. I love them.
So
I've never been a glove guy, really.
Your...
I'm a sock guy, but
yeah.
I'm into it.
Well, you like accessorizing a lot.
Yeah.
Socks are your favorite, but you like any accessories.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and upon seeing you slide these onto your hands, I do also glance you up and down, Nimbus, and say, "Well, I never seen a fancier pair of hand socks before in my life, honey. They're gorgeous."
They look to fit like a glove.
I hold up my hand for a high five.
I
From you,
high-five
Quith.
the glove.
Yes.
Excellent.
You also get right after my hand is pulled back a small little tongue high five from Pith on my head, who thought it was
Awesome.
for him. I'm still not sure which one of us you were actually trying to high five.
It doesn't matter. He got what he wanted.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
So, that being said, you all have items to choose. You all came prepared with some that you've created. I used some of those to have weird surprises for you during this challenge, which I probably should have made a little bit harder in retrospect.
I don't know. It's fun.
But it was fun.
Yeah,
so
it
now
was.
the three of you get to choose what you're going
Quith
to
took
get.
damage. She's like, "No, I'm good.
Yeah,
Thank you."
I'm bleeding. What are you talking about? A little burned.
Yeah, that's fine. So, what items are we getting is the real question. And I am going to put you on the spot and make you decide right now. All right, so we took a quick break. We pondered over some items. And now we're going to go one at a time and figure out which items we've got. We're going to go in the same order that we competed in. So, Veighor, you're up first. Or DB, you're up first. What's your first item?
Nice. Veighor, he's hunched over. He's looking around. He picks something up. He kind of tosses it to the side. He scratches his chin. He kicks something with his boot until he sees a small golden needle that glows. And he knows that this is a very useful item. It is a lamassu needle. And this glowing needle is a medical instrument, and it is sought after by necromancers and field medics, as it can instantly seal a wound or reattach a missing limb. So, let's see. Remarkably, the reattached finger, limb, or other body part does not have to be natural. One could, for instance, sew a pig's hoof in place of their foot, and it would graft without issue. Well, at least if sewn well. Shoddy work can get complicated. Unnatural pairings can refuse the host. So, and the instrument is colloquially known as a lamassu needle because lamassu are chimera-like creatures with the body of a bull, the head of a man, the forelegs of a cat, and the wings of a swan. So it's kind of this Frankenstein needle. And so I see it glowing on the edge of this shelf, and I pick it up and I grin to myself. I pick my teeth with it real quick before stuffing it into my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing I get is...
we're doing one at a time.
Oh, I'm so eager.
I know.
Eager.
Oh, God.
Eager Veighor.
Get out.
Yeah.
You can follow me at eager_mook.
So, Nimbus, you're up next.
All right, Nimbus is he was a little distracted by his new gauntlets and was picking up different things and like testing their what's the word?
I feel like the only fair way to do Nimbus's choices would be for you to just roll dice for it because he's so like random.
Okay, I tell you what. I will, if you can like whip fast, work up a system for me to like roll a die and you can know which item it is, I'll do that with everything except my first one.
Okay, what's your first one?
My first one is Nimbus sees a little sort of nondescript sack in the pile. And it's about the size of I don't know. It looks like it contains something about the size of a softball.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets real serious, and he goes over there, and he.
I forgot you were getting this. I'm gonna regret.
Oh
this.
yeah, oh yeah, you are. And he picks it up, and he feels of the outside of the bag. And is Tiffany still in there with us?
Yes, she is.
Okay.
She's
so
not like
he looks
particularly paying attention to what any of you are doing.
Okay. So he actually calls her. He says, "Hey, Tiffany."
Yes,
or, "Hey,
sweetie.
Tiffany. Is this a blink fruit?"
I mean, it might be. They said it was, but none of us have ever pulled it out because, well, you don't really want to leave those things out for any amount of time.
So Nimbus just kind of keeps feeling of it, and he gets this big smile, and he actually gets a little bit teary, and he says, "This is a blink fruit." And he looks around. He looks all around the room. He looks at the ceiling and behind him, and he says, "Hi, Frederick." And a blink fruit, the quick version is it's a fruit. The husk is black and covered in thorns and is impenetrable to any living thing. Luckily, sort of, giant spirit creatures, somewhat like huge rhinoceri, follow these fruits everywhere. As long as the fruit is either contained so that no part of it is visible or you are staring directly at it without blinking, the fruit will remain husked. Blink and the husk is not only opened, but completely gone because the giant, I don't even know how to do a short version of this. Basically, the huge spirit rhinoceros quickly eats the husk and then is extremely energized and goes on sort of a romp like happily jumping around like a 10-ton or a 10-ton pop, and like just destroys everything in the vicinity for about, I can't remember, like what, 15 seconds or something like that.
I don't remember. We'll figure that out later. It's a stupid item. It's a stupid item I should not let you have, but
20
it's
seconds.
too late.
20 seconds. No, it's like a one-time use thing, right? But it's like basically a hand grenade.
Now, did you think of this after drinking one of those 5-hour energies? And you're like, what if I was a giant spirit rhino?
Right.
And did
Instead
everything I
of-
feel like doing right now.
Yeah,
Feels correct.
just destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
these spirit rhinoceros follow these things around everywhere, and I now have a giant invisible spirit rhinoceros following me around until I open this, and then it eats it, and then it goes away looking for more.
Very cool.
Fantastic. So that means that Carly, you're next. What's Quith getting?
Okay, so Quith spends a few minutes while her friends are looking through the pile, also, passing through a few items. A lot of them don't really seem to click with her at first, but she does eventually find what appears to be one of the smallest items in this pile. So it's a small clear plastic box containing a simple mutated seed. And it is laying upon a bed of glowing red moss. This is actually, I recognize it as somebody who spent a lot of time out in the swamp and specifically has studied rare ingredients for some of my culinary bakes, as a anti-sunflower seed. So it is basically a seed that will grow only in the absolute absence of light, though the final form of it is highly unpredictable.
Okay.
It is a seed that typically comes from more chaotic regions of the multiverse, areas that aren't really as stable. So it can produce multiple different types of plants from this seed. However, growing it can be a real pain.
Nice. I like that. All right. DB.
All right, so Veighor feels pretty great. He's got his hammer of undo. He's got his needle in his pocket. And he's just kind of walking down, touching stuff, messing with this, tossing this over. And then he sees Chaos Compass, which is a let me grab this. So a Chaos Compass it's a glass sphere about the size of a large jawbreaker that's clasped, and it has a chain, so you wear it around your neck. It has a crack on it currently, but it's filled with sentient pink smoke. The glass orb is extremely durable, being able to withstand mighty blows and long falls. Even the swing of a blacksmith's hammer failed to scratch the surface. The glass does naturally crack over time and will break especially quickly if left unattended or ignored for too long. However, it repairs itself after bearing witness to the destruction of physical objects. Oddly, death and dying seem to have no effect whatsoever on the globe. Is this destruction the cost to maintain an enchantment on the glass, or, more troubling, some twisted sacrifice to the thing trapped inside? Regardless, after having watched the globe long enough, one thing is clear: I cannot let it break.
Nice.
So they called this a Chaos Compass because it keeps you on the straight and narrow of chaos, because you gotta keep destroying stuff or this baby's gonna pop.
I love it. That's so Troika.
Very
That
nice.
is amazing. All right. Jacob, you're next.
All right, you got it set up. Can I roll?
Nope.
And you'll know what it
Just
is.
go for it.
Oh man, I did not prepare because I thought that that's what we were doing. Man, I had one that I really liked.
Well, he's doing that. So I found my second thing, and I don it and I tuck it into my ragged armor, and I walk over to Tiffany and lean on a pile of stuff, probably knocking some over, and I tell her, well, I had to let old Nimby win. I knew your patrons would get some money that way. And the trick with the race, I find, is if you let them win early, they'll spend more money later. So, Tiffany, you're welcome. You're welcome. Of course, any day I could beat Nimby if I wanted. I chose not to. I want you to know that.
She just kind of side eyes you and is like, yeah, okay, and just walks away.
Oh, cold.
We could have a contest, racing, wrestling, eh?
I'm
Tiffany?
assuming you're yelling this as she's walking away.
Yeah,
from
she's
you.
just-
I trip over something, like a pile of stuff. Blasted. There's my hammer.
All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say that I find a really brightly colored shirt, a yellow shirt, and it's pretty stylish. I like it. I take it, I try it on, and I'm pretty happy with the fit. And then I look down, and I don't remember seeing, but on the front of this there is a pigeon, just sort of sitting there, staring vacantly forward, on the front of this tunic. And what the tunic is it's in this list right here. It's called Heart Sleeves, and it is the result of a wizard's attempt at a love potion. This yellow tunic will randomly emulate the wearer's emotions, displaying brief and usually abstract images across the front. It is, yeah. So,
It's
Delightful.
fantastic.
All right. A mood
I
ring
mean,
T-shirt. I like it.
Yet more
I thought-
accessories.
I thought for
Mood
a
ring.
second that you were gonna find a T-shirt and don it, and then it was just gonna be like an advertised T-shirt for the Derby. Like it was just gonna be like this year's
found-
like memorabilia T-shirt.
no, we're shooting those out of the rockets later. Don't take
Yeah,
it.
right.
Nice. Carly, what you up to?
Okay, so as my companion is busy trying to flirt and failing, and my other companion is changing his clothes in the middle of the room, I notice, I've been staring at this seed for a second, really, really enticed. I'm just dreaming of all of the possible ingredients this may produce in the long run if
Right.
I'm able to properly grow it. I do tuck it back in my backpack when I notice that upon moving around to get his shirt situated, Nimbus has actually knocked a couple of items off of the pile, and one of them is a corked bottle that begins to roll in my general direction. So I pick it up and take a glance, and at first glance, this simple corked bottle appears to contain nothing more than a dark black viscous liquid. So of course, Quith goes, I had to leave that delicious looking bowl out on the racetrack. I can't leave this liquid. She starts to kind of take a closer glance, and very quickly realizes that this liquid is actually a sentient life form, typically found only in the most isolated stretches of the humpback sky, known as a slate. She remembers about it and lets out a delighted glee, quickly calling over Veighor. Hun, this one might interest you. Come here.
Ooh, what is this?
And you notice that this black liquid is starting to move around inside just a little bit of the bottle, kind of its own volition, even when you're holding the bottle steady. And I explain that, hun, if you remove this cork here, there's a slake inside, and it'll slither its way right on out.
I put my hand on the cork.
So in reality, if you were to remove the cork and pour out the contents or allow it to escape, you would quickly realize that the liquid inside is sentient and in desperate need of sustenance. It's theorized, if you were, say, at the Versity and read up on this, that this may have been a wizard spell gone wrong way back when. Somewhere on the oops table, for those listening at home, there is one of the results that you can get is that you basically have this black viscous ooze that comes out of your throat as a wizard that will eventually turn into basically a doppelganger of you. And so it's theorized that these are captured forms of that, deprived of their final ability to turn into a clone. And so as a result, it consumes objects, but not in a normal way. Unlike normal life forms, it doesn't digest its food. Instead, it transmutes it into something totally separate. So this liquid will crawl its way or slither its way over to something, fully encompass it in a liquid, this black, nasty goo, and turn it into something totally different. Could turn one person into another, could turn a person into an object, could turn an object into a totally different object of a different size. Basically just a moving transmutation.
Yeah, that's not going to come back and bite me in the butt.
Or us. I mean, it's a dangerous object.
I'm going to find ways to
one.
make that ruin your lives. It's going to be great. Oops, the bottle broke. It's loose. Good luck. All right,
and it is sentient, so we don't really have control over it, obviously.
Yep.
It wants what it wants,
Yeah.
You know, my mother would spit something up like this each morning.
Oh.
Sounds like your mother, somebody I would have loved, honey.
Yes. You should have seen what my dad spit up. Twice as black.
Twice as delicious.
Yes.
Jacob, please, what's the next item before we go down
Okay,
that?
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say Nimbus has gone around behind the pile, kind of, and is now standing. He's climbed up and is standing on top of the pile, very proud in his new yellow shirt, and holding what is called a net and beater, which is a combo weapon originally designed to collect dandruff from belly bucks, a weaponized paddle-like beater, and weighted net. So basically, it's like a spear with a really big, flat kind of. It's flat enough that when you shake it, it makes that like noise. You know how metal does.
Mhm.
This big flat head spear thing, and then
Almost like
a sort of a weighted
a
net.
pizza peel.
Yeah, almost like a pizza
Yeah.
peel. Yeah.
I like it. I
So,
like
yeah.
it a lot. So you all have your
Interesting.
items, and Tiffany is gone. She has spurned the advances of one of your party and left you here. You've all
playing hard to get.
Like I said before, you lose the first bout, so they spend more money later. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So
Veighor plays the long game.
can we say the crack heals a little bit on your compass when that happens?
little broken heart heals the crack. So now you have the opportunity to, and this has taken a while, you know, you got to do your thing. And you're going to have the opportunity to head back to your barge now, kind of play with your winnings, get a full rest. And this is the point where all of you are going to be able to test skills. We have
Nice.
already tested skills on camera, so we're not going to do that tonight. We're going to wrap the episode here, and we'll let you know the results of those skill tests next episode or sometime in the future. But I feel like this is a good place to kind of take a break, take a breather for the night, and we can
Good.
figure out where we go next.
Beautiful.
Nice.
I
Oh,
am
yeah.
really, really genuinely thrilled by the opportunity for all of us to actually have some item creation. I feel like in Troika, that was one of the most
Mhm.
bizarre parts of kind of grasping the game at first was like, what do items? You know what I mean? So many items in RPG games are very stat based. You know what I mean? Are things
Mhm.
you
that
get
really
a +1 sword. Okay,
you
cool.
know, stuff like
Cool,
that,
bro.
or things that, just benefit a specific statistic. And it's so interesting because in this game, obviously, you're only really dealing with luck, skill, and stamina. And so outside of impacting those three, you really want to introduce flavor. And I feel like it was a really fun little brainstorm to be able to actually work on systems and imagine the weird, science stuff might exist.
Yeah, I feel like that was a lot of fun. It also, point blank, to anybody who's listening at this point that's a GM, do yourself a favor. Give your players homework. It makes your life so much easier. Because then you know what they want, and as long as it's not ridiculous, you can just give it to them. And then they have fun creating the item. And am I going to find ways to make all of this come back and bite them in the ass? Yes, I am. That being said, I think we can just roll right into the inspiration. What's been
Yeah.
inspiring us over the past week?
So this is part of my my backlog of things that I'll always recommend. So there's this guy Matthew Colville on YouTube, and I originally found him because I was starting Dungeon World for the first time. I was DMing it or GMing it, and I was like, I've never done this. And so I started to look up how to GM for this, blah blah, and it got me down a train of GM and player guide videos, which are always fun. This guy, he's been in the business for a long time, so he's got a lot of experience doing it. But he makes just really good videos about role playing and about the focus of the table, what makes a good player, what makes a good GM. And then he makes a lot of references to fantasy authors, fantasy art, games that he's helped develop, things like that. If there's one that you're just curious to check out, there's one called Different Kinds of Players. It's Running the Game as the series, and it's number 11 for that. But he brings up a bunch of really good tips. So obviously, like a main through line for his series is if you're not having fun at the table, then you're doing something wrong. Another important thing is the, just lost my train of thought. We'll edit this part out in post. But anyway,
I won't.
Matthew
I'm leaving
Colville,
all of
he's
this
really
in.
great. No.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, check him out. He's great. He does little funny snippets in his videos too. So he'll like intersperse, 4 seconds from a movie or something to get his point across. Oh, I remember what I was gonna bring up. One of the really cool things he suggested in a game was at the beginning, introducing it. Sometimes it can be very difficult to introduce a big bad evil guy, BBEG, right? People talk about that all the time, because you don't want to introduce them to the players in a situation where the players can fight, because often everyone at the table is like, I want to test my spells or my abilities, or our DM wouldn't give us something if we couldn't fight it, right?
And then you get a TPK.
And so
Yeah.
and so one of kind of a brilliant way I thought that he did this was he had a almost like a hologram, and so the players could see from their vantage point a hologram of the big bad evil guy, and he was like talking down to one of his like lieutenants or something, and you could just see the power that way. Another interesting another interesting one was he like put them in a situation where they were in a tavern, and the big bad evil guy came to collect cadavers of people who had recently died. So this like I think he was like a necromancer type guy, and he walks into the tavern, and like everyone in the village is scared of this guy, and the party is just traveling through, but they know that if they fight this guy that they are endangering all of these public innocent people. And so that was like another situation that they put them in.
This does a really good job, basically, of like showing GM kind of how to set up a scene and a situation for players very effectively without really setting yourself up for failure, like leaving too many open for your party, while still keeping it. It's great.
And the last thing I'll say about him is he did this really cool thing with like a middling villain for the thing called Bogan Redcap, and it's a goblin. And the thing with Bogan Redcap is the party eventually defeated Bogan Redcap, and it's a goblin who wears a dirty red cap. And then later, Bogan Redcap shows up again, and they're like, "What the heck? We killed this guy." Well, it's actually one of those like titles, and so a new Bogan Redcap will sprout because they'll find that cap, or they'll don it because it's like a reputational thing, and so they want like the title and the prestige and blah blah blah. And so it's like this repeating villain, but in a creative way. I really like that idea.
Fun. Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. Very nice.
Who's next?
Carly, you ready? Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready. So this week I want to plug Mr. James Gifford, which I honestly don't know how I haven't plugged sooner. So I discovered James Gifford a couple of years ago, maybe at this point. He ran, for those who have heard of him, he was the one who did the Assorted Magical Items deck on Kickstarter. God, it had to be a couple of years ago now, the Assorted Magical Items deck. It's compatible with 5e D&D, but what I love about James Gifford is that all of the items that he's crafted for this deck and since the deck, a lot of the times you can also use in a neutral kind of system, or use them in something like Troika. He's delightful because not only has he made this amazing project, like the actual deck of magical items is super useful if you are a D&D GM, if you're just looking for new fun trinkets or even weapons, things that you don't see a whole lot of. He's crafted, for example, a ton of really epic bard instruments, which I feel like if you're playing something like D&D, there's always a shortage of. Like, how do you make your bard feel valued without just continuing to give them things they can't use? So he does that a lot, but he also does really weird, bizarre items that, like I said, you could use in something like Troika. So, for example, he has one that's literally like a seasoning spice that can make any item edible. So wow. There are some super fun ones that he's got in there. On Instagram, you can find him at Mr. So MR, not spelled out, James James Gifford Gifford, all one word. And on that page, if you don't have the item deck, don't worry. He posts very regularly just items, like drawn out illustrations of items, with a name and maybe a brief description, but he won't always tell you what those items do. So if you are looking for item inspiration and you just want to be able to basically look through some really cool, wonky looking illustrations and some titles that might give you a little bit of flavor, his Instagram is amazing. And I feel like even earlier today, prepping for our item list, it was definitely super helpful to be able to scroll through and just get a deep dose of flavor. You know what I mean? And he's also just a real sweetheart. So highly recommend him, James Gifford. Also recommend that item deck if you do play D&D or are jamming that, or just looking for some cool items that you can maybe work into a neutral system here.
Heck yes.
Great reason.
Jacob,
Awesome.
I also have like a minute. Sorry.
Okay. I'm going to plug my 2 favorite kids shows. So I've got 2 kids. I've got Goblin Boy who's 5 and I got Gremlin Girl who's 2. And I just pray that they ask for these 2 shows. They're both on Amazon Prime. One of them is called Tumbleleaf, and it's a 4-season show. It's adorable. It's like a claymation show, and it's a typical like very young kids show where they learn about different concepts and like how rainbows come through water and like all that kind of stuff. But it's absolutely adorably done in this like super whimsical, fantastical little island type place with all these animals and stuff. It's one that's like eye candy enough that I can sit and watch it, and actually my brain's working too. It's got some really, really cool concepts.
Very cool.
And also another show, it's also on Amazon Prime, called Nico and the Sword of Light, and it is phenomenal. It's like it's a lot. It has like a Samurai Jack-ish kind of feel to it, where it's like an adventure going through different places and meeting different people, and then eventually he gets to the main bad guy and he has to do something, you know. But it's got a really cool flavor to it. It's very like anime inspired. But again, these are both like kids shows. Like my son's 5 and he watches both of them. He just got to where Nico didn't bother him because the bad guy is pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those are two that, from what I'm doing with Sonderlings and everything else, I enjoy those being on TV, and that's rare for kid shows.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
for sure.
Prep your kids early for RPGs is what.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You
Get
gotta.
them in
This is
young.
not the first time
You
we've
gotta
played
mold
children's
them.
shows on this
Yeah.
podcast. So obviously we want you to start them young, is all we're trying to tell you.
Well, I can't think of anything to plug this week, and I'm running late. I'm a bad friend, and I have a friend waiting for me on my front porch to do a socially distanced porch hang, so I gotta run. But this has been a lot of fun, and we love all of you listening and watching this. Thanks for stopping by, and we will catch you next time. Sure, we'll have another episode up next week.
Absolutely.
Later, nerds.
All right.